Okay guys, this is Cruiseroy with his Predator. I just wanted to show you really quick. I'm going to take this apart. I bought some new line, fuel line. I got the kit from Century to replace for the tank, because when I took the stopper out to look at everything, it looked really bad. I picked up the two clunks that are on the forum, this one and this one. I'm going to try to get this one in there, but at the place you couldn't really get the fuel line on here unless I use a piece of the old black line that's here just for inside the tank. And I did have a quick fueling Sullivan I picked up. It's 4 gas. I was going to use that, I'm not sure yet, and just some various tools and wire ties out here. But what I wanted to show you was from the get-go here what it looked like when I was checking it, and you guys could tell me if you see anything that you don't like. And in the forums, the way they tube the tanks, they don't have a fill, not like this. I kind of dig that fill being out the back of the canopy. I can fill it, so I'm gonna go back in that direction. I'm gonna have 3 coming out of the tank here, 3 lines. Well, there's 4 actually for the vent. The vent is okay. It's already got the new yellow line on it, and it was working because the fuel was blowing out of it when I overfilled. It was, the problem is I'm getting half a tank here, and I really don't see any videos on how to do the plumbing here, so I'm assuming this line here, of course, is how I fill it. And when I opened it up, the tube is very short. It just goes into the tank. So that's the fill. The one with the bulb, I'm assuming, is it pulling the fuel up, and or is that the return? And I mean, like I said, it's running but only half a tank. So this one here is the one with the clunk on it. It's at the bottom of the tank, and it's going to the carburetor and this location. And this one here, I'm assuming they call it the return because it goes towards the bulb. It helps me suck the fuel up to the carburetor but doesn't flood it out. And that's got a short tube on it too. You know, and some people say it should be vented up higher. I'm not sure. So, I mean, the tubes that come with the Century are not that big, and it looked like someone cut, to make the third one, they cut them tiny. So that might be another bad effect there. But I do like having the fueler in the back. I'm not going to use the quick fuel valve. You'd have to mount it somewhere, and I'm not really apt to that right now. But what I wanted to do with the camera here is to see if you could see what kind of carb I got by maybe magnifying it. I don't know if you can see it, but for some reason I got a 603B on the bottom, and on the top it says WT825. I got wind today, I have to deal with that. So like I said, it's a 603B on the bottom of that plate, and on top it says WT825. And when I said the numbers on the forum, it wasn't coming up with anybody. I mean, they say it might be the older type or whatever, but this is a Predator gasser. I don't know how old it is. It is used, and I've been having trouble with the fuel system, you know. And I already put a new main shaft in it, tail shaft. I did a lot to it, and I probably should have bought it new instead of buying a used one. But what I'm going to do is set up the camera and pull the fuel tank apart, and you'll be able to see how it was plumbed. I'm going to basically do it. I did get some paperwork off the forum. I'm going to do it. I kind of got the gist of how it works. You have a line that fills the fuel tank, which I want to keep. Another line is the return, and then the one with the clunk on it feeds the carburetor. So I'm going to redo it with all the brand new lines, but right now I want to take it apart and show you how it was. And maybe it's just a cracked fuel line, and I'll show you the clunk, but I'm going to try to use the clunk that they're showing on the forum, but it's a pretty big clunk. Alright, so let me get at it here. And take off the air cleaner. just going to close the choke so no dirt and stuff gets in there while I'm working here. Like I said, this one here went all the way to the back to this cool little bracket, and I kind of liked it because you could fill the heli without, you know, going into a T here or something hanging out. And it looks like the T, they're putting it on the return line. So I didn't kind of get that. Is it just going to flow through the carburetor, or is it going to just keep flowing back through this tube and fill? I don't know. I don't understand that. But so I'm going to keep the third line idea anyways. These were all wire tied, but as you can see, if you pull hard enough, they come off. And I might blow into one of these lines here to see if it's okay, and because this clunk will fit on that black line, so might try to use one of those. So anyways, we'll keep that as the fill. I wanted to try to do this so you could see how it was plumbed in the tank. The two at the top were basically cut off, and the one at the bottom has the clunk on it. If I remember correctly, I took it apart already to look at it, and I didn't like the rubber that was in there from Century because it'd been in there for so long that it's kind of... Oops, sorry about the wind. Let's see if it'll come out. Alright, so I'm going to pull it out slow here. Make sure the camera's running. Okay, I'm going to pull it out slow here so you can kind of see how it was plumbed. I'm holding it. So the bottom one had the clunk, and it had this type of clunk on it, but it had a short tube. But that's the way the previous owner did it. So I'm assuming the lower one is good for sucking the fuel into the carburetor, and this is where it goes to, because the thing was running. So this is the way it was plumbed. And then this one is a return. But if you look at the tubes, they're short. So I did get another tube, so maybe I'll put a tube in here and make it bend up a little bit. But like I said, I'm going to try to rebuild this kind of like the farm, but I'm going to have a 3-line with the fill where it was. But I'll use all new yellow line except for the black I want to use for trying to get this big clunk in the tank, and it will fit. So this is the way it was, and so let's start rebuilding it. I just don't know why I was just getting half a tank. Like I said, I think someone shortened these tubes way too much, so I do have a new set of tubes, and I know the short one is for where the clunk is anyway, so alright. So I mean, the plastic was still good. I'm just going to remove the tubes. The tank didn't leak from any of this, so, but I do need to replace the rubber. This rubber thing here, it was kind of chewed up. This was kind of chewed up, so I bought the whole gas tank and everything. You never know, might crash someday and need a fuel tank. I don't know. We got the old tubes. Put the old tubes here. I don't think I'll need them. And here's the new set. It doesn't have the third hole drilled out, so I'm gonna put that one in there for the fill. And it looks like there's only a little bit of rubber there, so just pop it through. Just pop it through. So that one there, I want to make the return should be the longer one. And we're going to put the short one here. I'm just using the deck to push the tubes through. Alright. Put this cup back on. Get this all snug on here first, I guess. Get the screw started. Alright. So, the longer one, this little baggie. I'm just using the deck here to the picnic table to push these even. Going as far as I can, but enough to grab it with a wire tie. All right. Just checking them to make sure they're clear. So the longer one here, I'm going to use as the vent for the return. I don't know if it's supposed to be bent, so I'm going to leave it like this for now. I mean, you could bend it to curl it up. So the bottom will be where the clunk is. So I just want to check this fuel line here. I'm going to close it off and blow through it. Okay, it seems to hold pressure, so they say I need like a 6-inch piece on the form for the clunk. So I'm just going to cut off the bad edges, the older edges here. I want to put this clunk on here. These picnic table boards are about 5, so there's about 6. Alright. Doesn't seem to blow very smoothly. Alright. So that's going to be this one's going to be vent, return, clunks on the bottom here.